Welcome back into the cockpit.
Nah, I don't want them here. Really, they shouldn't be. I don't know why we've been doing this for so long. It's a restricted area. No one else is supposed to be in here.
Well, we mentioned that very early on when we were doing these, that
Yeah, but we really shouldn't be. Look, man, the managerial staff has been really breathing down my neck about this. We're not supposed to be letting people in here.
I don't know what the problem is. We're not flying right now. We're currently on the ground.
I don't know. It's apparently in this huge response to that whole 9/11 thing or whatever.
I'm too sober to be flying right now, so...
That's true. We'll probably be fine, maybe.
But yeah, welcome into the Cockpit, the monthly interstitial content show where we talk about things and stuff and come in here with topics to discuss.
Yep, we do that.
I mean, we have topic.
Yeah.
We have a large topic that if we had a larger audience, I might actually be fearful discussing.
I wouldn't.
Good point. I don't care. I've been all on it on Twitter,
I am not a fearful person.
If I was afraid, I wouldn't be arguing the stance that I'm arguing even on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before we dive into that shit, do you have any other things that you wanted to talk about, discuss? I'm gonna take that as a no. You know Michael B. Jordan? He played Killmonger and Human Torch.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Okay. He recently in an interview...
Yeah, 5 beginner animes.
The 5 beginning anime fans should get into.
Yeah.
Do you know what his list was?
One of his first ones that he listed was One Piece.
It was One Piece, Dragon Ball, Hunter x Hunter. Oh, I know this list. Naruto, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, Hunter x Hunter, Bleach. Those were his 5.
He literally just named the big manga / anime from the mid to early 2000s. So when he was younger and probably getting into anime, which makes sense, that's normally what people name, but he named One Piece in there. So
One Piece is 1,000 episodes. Naruto's got to be 500 to 600.
Yeah, Naruto should never really be anyone's.
Bleach is ridiculously long now too.
Mm-hmm.
400 and something episodes, 500 and something. Dragon Ball, if you count all of Dragon Ball, is stupid.
The only viable one there is Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
And even then it's confusing because you have Hunter x Hunter and then you have Hunter x Hunter 2011.
So before we dive into the deeper topics, I want you to come up with 5 anime that you would suggest for new anime people to watch.
Okay, is it just people in general who are completely new to anime?
Yeah, mostly new to anime.
Am I giving them the list because they're already interested in anime, or is it just
they're interested in anime? They may have watched some Attack on Titan or something.
So if they're actually already interested in anime, it's going to be a lot more boring than what I would give someone who's just completely new to it.
Okay, let's do both.
Okay, because if it's someone completely new to it, they're getting us mattering from different genres.
Okay, fair enough.
If it's someone that's kind of already used to it and they're like, I want to watch more of this, it's a completely different thing because they've probably watched popular shonen things.
My Hero,
stuff like
Attack
that,
on
things
Titan,
that they would go.
yeah.
Which, in that circumstance, if they haven't watched it, I would suggest My Hero. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I would also suggest the newer Hunter x Hunter because I love it. It's great and it does really well. I would also suggest, I think, probably just to get them used to disappointment. Not disappointment as in oh, it's a bad show, but disappointment as in, yeah, this is what happens when you watch a show, but other people don't. I'd have them watch Roku no Yusha or Brave of the Six Flowers because I think they would enjoy it, but then be upset that it never got another season. So that's what, 3, 4 I said?
Yeah.
That was 4, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And then I'd probably go with FMA Brotherhood.
Okay, that's fair. And that's for somebody that's already into anime.
Yes.
Now, they're interested in anime, but they've never seen an anime.
Cool. First up, we're going to go with one of my favorites, Kids on the Slope.
Yeah, okay. 100%.
Because it's a story that does not need to be anime to be
100%.
viewed.
I would love to see a live action adaptation.
Because I think, honestly, if I'm trying to introduce someone straight up to anime, I'm going to obviously try to make it more tailored to an individual person. Mm-hmm. But if I don't have an individual person, I'm going to be looking at other examples. Because so many people are put off on anime because they think it's literally just all the stereotypes that you see about shonen. Or
for 6 episodes,
or shonen rom-com things, which just means it's a fucking harem anime or ridiculously edgy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an annoying thing where obviously anime is just a medium. So I would go with Kids on the Slope because it is a really good musical drama story going on there.
Yeah,
that just happens to be animated. I'd probably still throw FMA Brotherhood on there. That way you have that dab of shonen, but it has a good, intriguing story.
Yes, 100%.
That I think with the huge popularity we've seen with shows like Game of Thrones and even The Last of Us and stuff like that, where it's a bit of a darker, grittier story, but we have the lighthearted moments we need. Mm-hmm. The current consumer base seems to be very much aligned with that idea of storytelling, which I think Brotherhood did and did it well.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
I would also, just because I enjoy it, suggest Pokemon.
Bakuman is my literal favorite anime, so
Yeah.
you're not going to hear me say anything bad about it.
And it's also more of a slice of life thing that I think people would enjoy, but you still have those moments.
It's a shonen slice of life rom-com.
Plus, I think it gives the added bonus of actually giving these idea about other things they will find in anime or manga.
I also think it's like for a new person to anime or manga, it's very powerful in that like it gives you an inner look at like the creators' lives, like what a creator does.
But another good thing is because of the way the show is and the way that, hey, we're trying to make a successful thing, it kind of also explains to you these stereotypes and tropes you're going to come across, but it does them in a naturalistic way that works in the show where it doesn't really feel like it's teaching you a lesson if you're coming into it blind.
Yeah, 100%.
And it also means because we have such a variety of different storytellers / authors in that story, introducing like their own shows or manga, it opens up this idea of like, well, if that theoretical story in here sounded intriguing to you, you kind of already know what genre you're going to lean towards, or these things you're going to probably be looking for in anime.
Yeah, 100%. And like Nezuma or Neji, is that his name?
Eiji Nizuma?
Yeah, Eiji. Like his primary story feels so much like Ultimio that like if you're like super into his thing, go read Ultimio. I don't think Ultimio got an anime.
I don't believe it did, no.
But
they do know it finished though.
Yeah, like, and the thing is that's not just for Ultimio, or Nezuma's.
Yeah.
All of them have not necessarily one-to-ones in real life, but they all have anime or manga that they're like riffing on.
Like you've got Utter Number 9, which is gag very much, but more like in the vein of like Bobo 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 Bo.
Mm-hmm. And you got their uncle, his uncle's comic, which is
much more like Crayon Shinjan.
It's very it's very much in the vein of like Shinchan or like even a little Ultimate Muscle or not Food Wars. The food fighting anime. Food Fight. That's what it's called. Food Fight.
Yeah. Or even like in some of it's, obviously it's more aimed at children, but like some of the things are more Agretsuko-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you have, I forgot what I was going to say there.
You said Full Metal Baku
I was talking about within that.
Yeah,
There was another thing. I was thinking of an example from that, but I can't remember what it was anymore. So I've said Full Metal, Bakuman, Kids on the Slope. Just those three?
Just those three so far.
Yeah. I think because I really enjoy it a lot, I would say Given. That might partially be influenced by the fact that I have recently caught up on the manga all the way.
I'm not familiar with Given, so
you are. You've seen me watch the movie for it.
Yeah.
You've heard me listen to the soundtrack. It is a show about two high schoolers that are part of a band.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very much BL, which is fantastic. I don't give a fuck.
BL, for those uninitiated, is boys love.
Yeah, it's gay as fuck, and I love it for that.
It's an entire genre.
Yeah.
You know, that it's also wild. Like Japan gets ripped on for like being very homophobic.
I mean, which they kind of
100%. But like, at least for manga and anime, there's an entire subgenre.
There's such a diversity in it, which is fantastic. Like, you don't get like that many shows in America where your entire main cast are gay guys, without it being about, oh my god, look at how gay these guys are. Whereas in Given, it's, no, they're gay, but like, dude, they just care about fucking making music and like being happy in life.
Yeah.
It has a lot more drama in it because obviously that's kind of just what the show's going for, but it also has fantastic music. And then probably... See, I feel like my next option here needs to be something more classically shonen, but like I have a few things I would think of, like maybe My Hero, because it is actually a very good introductory to shonen, and with the popularity of Marvel movies and such, I think giving someone a superpowered show would work. A large part of me would want to say Cowboy Bebop, but Netflix ruined it and shot me in the foot when I ever try to suggest that to someone now. So
it's like when I say, oh yeah, I love the live action Death Note movies, and people are like, movies?
Yeah.
Also, wasn't that terrible? And you're like, no, but like,
I mean, I would say I'm not a huge fan of the Japanese live action movies, but they're not nearly as bad as Netflix's.
Okay, so the first two, okay, the third one is spectacular.
So, because I think the other things I've listed kind of cover more of the shonen aspects, though, in some ways, you know what? I think I'll just straight up say it's probably not the best example of this thing, but I still enjoy it. I'm gonna go with Cardcaptor Sakura. Maybe Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card, because you don't necessarily need the previous stuff, and it is definitely much more updated for a modern audience, but, like, yeah.
Okay, so you put a lot of like depth and like you had some deep cuts in there, so if I was choosing like recommending 5 anime for somebody new to anime, we're both on Kids on the Slope.
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece.
We're talking straight up blind new to anime, right?
Yeah.
For yours?
Yeah. I don't have one for like...
Yeah.
But...
for like, oh, you've watched a few things. What do you probably...
Yeah. But actually, I have one suggestion. If you watch anime and you're looking to get deeper, Ren, Daughters of Nimazine. Like,
See, I would, but like the thing is that I think if I would need to know who I'm giving a suggestion to before I suggest Rin Daughters into someone.
yeah, it's a little ecchi, and it's also a little seinen.
It's a
Very
lot more
seinen.
graphic.
Yeah. But
And it handles topics that I think some people aren't comfortable dealing with.
yeah, like the
And
fact,
even then, it has some not extremely high concepts because they're not that complicated. But there's a few concepts when we're going into the more future of the series in the later episodes that I feel like some people might get a bit lost on.
we really have to deal with the topic that vodka is just the Russian word for little water. Like,
Yeah.
that's a very like controversial topic.
Yeah.
I'm joking, but yeah, like if you're into anime and you want something a little like darker and you want like a step into the seinen world,
Yeah.
Ren is like my go-to suggestion. But no, if we're talking like brand new to anime, I'm on Kids on the Slope. That's a great suggestion because
I mean, sorry, before you actually get into this, because you said you think Ren's a great step into it. Honestly, my suggestion would be, and it makes me kind of sad because I'm not a huge fan of it, but especially if you're trying to transition from like shonen into more seinen things, I'm going to suggest to you Elfen Lied.
that's fair. Elfen Lied's a classic for a reason.
It's very, very shonen in a lot of its style. It actually has some kind of shoujo aspects with the more normal parts of the main character's life when she gets amnesia, but like the story itself has a very seinen tone to it. They kill a dog for no reason.
For 5 animes for people new to anime, I'm not like you said, Kids on the Slope is perfect. It's just good storytelling. It doesn't need to be anime. That could be a live action like hour-long show that's like 8 episodes on Netflix or something, and people will be like, "Oh yeah, that show was great. Did you watch Kids on the Slope?" 100%.
Dude, it's honestly kind of a soap,
Yeah.
but like, or just your modern drama,
Look.
but like, it's fantastic.
Look, if Outer Banks can be successful, a live action Kids on the Slope Netflix adaptation that isn't garbage could be successful.
I agree.
My next one, and I know that it's played by the Netflix adaptation, is Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
Cowboy Bebop is the closest to perfect an anime has ever been, other than like an anime movie. Anime films are a little different, but Bebop is the closest to perfect an anime itself has ever been, and it's a really good, like, it's a bit episodic, so you're not like pulled into a really large extended plot, but it does have a large extended plot, but it's only like 26 episodes, and the music's good, the characters are good, and it hasn't like aged poorly for being a show from like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
So
Look, I gotta ask, are you just gonna keep listing Shinichiro Watanabe things? Is your next suggestion gonna be Samurai Champloo?
it wasn't going to be Samurai Champloo, but now that you mention it,
Here, let's just go through this. Watch Macross, watch Cowboy Bebop, watch Kids on the Slope, because that's also by Shinichiro Watanabe. Watch Space Dandy,
well, yeah, it's
Carol and Tuesday, and Terror and Resonance.
shit. I mean,
And that's not even the other shit he's been involved in. Like, he's been part of other stuff. Like, he did some stuff for Ergo Proxy, which is good.
we watched an anime not recently. We watched an anime for the podcast
Yeah.
that he did. We watched the first 2 episodes of it. I don't remember what it was called.
The Watanabe did?
I thought Watanabe was involved. I might be wrong. It's the same dude that was involved with what's the name of that samurai show that just came out that people hate?
No, you're thinking... I know who you're thinking of, but no.
Okay.
That is... You're talking Cannon Busters.
Yeah.
But no, that's from the same guy who was involved with, like, Boondocks.
Yes. Okay. So, like you said, we got Kids on the Slope and Cowboy Bebop, and it wasn't going to be on my list, but Carol and Tuesday is also a great pick.
See, I think it's a really good pick. There are definitely some problems with the way it portrays trans people and with some like really bad characterization of non-gender conforming people.
Fair enough. Robiachi is on my list, though.
Robihachi is fantastic. Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, Robiachi is kind of like the bastard child of Space Dandy and Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, like I was gonna say it was like a refined version of Space Dandy, but I mean, you've done that well with more words.
Yeah, it's very good, very funny. The music's great, and in general, I'm not a fan of comedy cartoons or like adult comedy.
Yeah.
But Robiachi nails the comedy aspects. Like, it's
Yeah.
so good, and like it not only like is a good comedy show, but it's like got social commentary embedded within it via some of the different planets they go to.
Yeah.
But I was mostly joking about Carol and Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, Carol and Tuesday is fine. I've not actually watched a lot of it. I've watched like 2 episodes and listened to a bunch of the music.
Yeah.
But in that slot, I would actually recommend Bigata HK.
Yamada's first time.
Which is a shoujo, shoujo is the anime or manga term for a manga for girls, it means girl story.
Yeah.
And shonen is boy story.
But let's be clear here. Obviously, anyone of any gender or identity can enjoy either.
Mostly shonen just means it has more action, and shoujo means it has more of a focus on relationships.
Or like kind of just everyday life situations.
Mm-hmm.
And generally in both of these, if you're watching shonen, your main character is more likely to be a guy. If you're watching shoujo, your main character is more likely to be a girl.
So in Bugatti HK...
On that point, though, your topic of shoujo does remind me. I mentioned Cardcaptor Sakura as one of my suggestions. But you know what? As much as I enjoy it, I think I'd rather remove that and suggest Sweetness to Lightning, which is a really good slice of the life anime about a father and his daughter, and his wife recently just died, and he's trying to learn how to cook to make his daughter happy. The way she eats things because she wasn't eating or whatever. It's a delightful story. Sad moments, really happy moments, really cute moments. Or I suggest Clanad.
You can't suggest Clanad for a new anime viewer.
I suggest Clanad After Story.
No. It's almost as bad as suggesting Madoka. Almost.
Yeah, but this one doesn't rely on tropes and having to know things about the medium already.
That's why it's almost as bad as suggesting Madoka. Madoka is worse because it requires you to have a concept of those tropes and understanding.
I don't know what you have against me suggesting Clanad, but whatever. You were talking about Bugatti HK.
Bugatti HK is a shonen. Have we went into what shonens are?
It's a shoujo, but yes.
Okay. Bugatti HK is a shoujo, my bad, that focuses on the story of a girl getting ready to go into high school, and she doesn't want to be a virgin going into high school, which is why the show is also called Yamada's First Time.
Yeah.
I'm going to start by saying, even though the show is a little ecchi, which in manga and Japanese terms means like
it's a little racy, basically.
Yeah, it's a little racy. Bugatti HK, Yamada's First Time, does not have any sex or anything in it like that, because as much as the show is about her wanting to no longer be a virgin going into high school, it's really about like learning that you can develop at your own pace and grow not on somebody else's terms. Because at the start of Bugatti HK, she knows she's a virgin, but she doesn't know what like sex is or what virginity is. And it's really a love story between these two people falling in love, despite Yamada's goal isn't just to enter high school as not a virgin. She wants to like have sex with 100 guys before she goes to high school. Like, that's her grand lofty goal.
That way she's experienced and whatever.
But
yeah,
she falls in love with this one guy and then learns that she doesn't have to grow at other people's pace. And instead, the two of them have a very, like, pure relationship through the, like, later part of the series. Because the show isn't about sex, even though that's what it is about on the surface level. It's very funny, very beautiful, a great, like, introduction to shoujo, in my opinion, and, like...
Yeah, I mean, I've already made so many suggestions, I should stop.
What you got?
I was gonna say, if we're talking about, like, a good introduction to, like, a kind of shoujo relationship anime, I think Toradora is another good suggestion there. Especially if you're one of those people who, like, when you're watching TV or a movie or something, you really like that classic pairing of, like, disparate, almost character ideas, but where people, despite having these differences, work well together.
Okay, so that brings me to my final suggestion, which I don't feel bad about anymore because...
So your suggestions so far have been...
Kids on the Slope, Cowboy Bebop, Robiachi, Bugatti HK.
Okay.
This brings me to my fifth and final suggestion, which I don't feel bad about anymore because it was actually 2 suggestions, but you've suggested so many things I don't feel bad about actually making my number 5 too. So I have one that's more like on the shonen action side with a little bit of political thriller in there.
Yeah.
Because Gundam is like the key go-to for political anime.
Your suggestion wasn't Gundam?
My suggestion is not Gundam.
You're wrong then.
My suggestion is Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion.
I mean, it's a good suggestion, but...
It's a better mech series than most Gundams.
No.
And the other suggestion, if you're not really vibing with the action of shonen, and you're not really like into the idea of political thrillers, is the adorable, easily digestible, episodic...
My Roommate is a Cat?
Fuck, you know, I wasn't going to say My Roommate is a Cat, but now that you mention it, My Roommate is a Cat is a banger. Fuck, My Roommate is a Cat. That's my final suggestion. It's perfect. Holy shit. I was going to say Hamtaro, but you know what? My Roommate is a Cat is just a better suggestion. Okay, you win. My Roommate is a Cat.
We can cover what both of those are, though, if you want.
Okay. Hamtaro is an anime about a group of hamsters who live in the suburbs. Who live in the suburbs together, and during the day, sneak out of their enclosures and all hang out at a clubhouse together and get into hijinks.
Yeah, it's adorable.
It's literally adorable. I hate you so much because my life as a cat, My Roommate as a Cat is just so much better. It's just such a better example. My Roommate as a Cat, we reviewed it for this podcast, actually.
Did we?
I'm pretty sure we did.
I don't remember anymore, man. I don't think we did.
We might not have.
I think we may have talked about it, but then we just watched it.
Yeah. My Roommate as a Cat is an anime with very short episodes. They're like 15 minutes.
Well, no, it's a half-hour long episode, but it splits each episode into the same story told from
yes.
two different perspectives.
So it's a full-length episode, but I was just thinking... So My Roommate is a Cat is an anime that is... Each episode is actually 2 14-minute episodes, 12-minute episodes, but they're the same story. One story is from the owner of this cat, who didn't want to have a cat, but like got gifted one and like...
Yeah, he's a writer. He ended up with a cat.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of put upon, but like, he still likes the fact that he has a cat. He likes the cat.
So the first half of the show is his story and like his day with this cat. And the second half of the episode is the same story from the cat's point of view. The cat doesn't talk. It's not like we're talking about a world with talking animals.
Yeah, but when we're with the cat, we get the cat's thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, look at all of these kind of annoying hijinks that this cat got up to. Man, it's ruining my day. Or look at how this has affected what's going on. And then we get to the cat, and the cat's like, my human's so weird. Like, and then it's like all these logical reasons as to why the cat's doing what the cat's doing, because things make sense to cat.
So it's basically Garfield, and Garfield was more wholesome and not a literal demon meant to plague John's life and make his life a living nightmare.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that, but anime. So that was...
The segment brought to you by Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, like...
Well-known patron and sponsor of the show.
I don't want to roast Michael B. Jordan's take too much because he suggested nothing but good anime.
Yeah.
Like, they're good shows. But the issue is... They're all like hundreds of hours.
Yeah, and also, I'm going to be a bit gatekeepy here, I guess. Not intentionally. I would say they're all fairly basic takes, too.
And they're all like very shonen. Like,
yeah,
there's other things than anime about people punching people.
Mm-hmm.
But not if you listen to Michael B. Jordan's recommendations.
And I don't know if that's maybe because Michael B. Jordan doesn't watch a lot of things, or he watches almost strictly shonen, or there's that thing that I've seen people do where it's like, well, because I'm talking basically to so many people here, I'm just going to offer up these very basic shows that anyone can kind of enjoy.
I also think there's a bit of like history to it, right? Like the reason why I'm watching Lost, or like the reason why...
Watching Lost.
Yes, watching Lost. I'm still on season 2. I'm still on season 2. The reason why I'm watching Lost, or like the reason why I plan to watch all of One Piece this year, actually read all of One Piece this year, and watch or read all of Naruto and watch or read all of Dragon Ball this year, is because there's a history to it, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, I completely understand you.
All 5 of his suggestions have massive, are massively inspirational for most of modern day shonen. Yeah. Or, in the case of One Piece, is still somehow, 26 years later, modern day shonen.
Yeah.
Because One Piece doesn't quit. But the roots of My Hero Academia can be seen in Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
And so... If we're wanting to talk about like recommendations or like what you should watch eventually when you get into anime, if you enjoy it and you want a sense of the history, you should go watch Astro Boy. 100% you should watch Astro Boy. At some point, if you like anime and you like shonen, watch Astro Boy.
I would agree.
It's the first like action shonen anime. You should watch it. Have I watched it? Not all of it. I've seen some episodes, but...
It's not bad.
The history of a genre influences the stuff currently. So, like, recommending stuff like Dragon Ball, which is the most influential shonen of all time, IMO.
Yeah. Or, very big thing here, if you really like Batman, watch Big O.
Oh, God, that's such a good rec. Fuck. Yeah, if you like Batman, Big O is like...
That's it. I will strictly only suggest you watch Big O. It's great. You watch it if you want, whatever. But I would never offer it as this is a show you should watch suggestion for someone just starting, unless they're like the biggest Batman fan I know. Then I'll suggest Big O.
Yeah. Big O is definitely an anime you should watch. It's very good, but like it's not something that you should start with.
No.
Unless you're a Batman fan.
Yes, and then watch Big O. It's just Batman the anime.
Batman the anime with a giant mechs.
I said Batman the anime.
It's actually like, it's Batman meets Evangelion. Yeah. I mean, I'm only 6 episodes into Evangelion, but it feels like that's right.
It's a lot more detective-y. Not really fighting big monsters.
No, but like, there's giant sentient robots that plague Big O in the world of Big O.
I mean, no.
Yes?
They're not giant sentient robots. You've had some, like, other giant mechs and, like...
Oh, for some reason I was thinking they were...
They're not really sentient robots. There's some robot shenanigans going on.
Okay.
That he doesn't understand.
It's been a while since I watched Big O, and honestly, the time loop in Big O wrecks my brain.
Not entirely a time loop.
Anyways, if you like Batman, watch Big O. If you like Inception, I would recommend Big O.
Or if you like steampunk aesthetics and big robots.
Or if you like Inception, I'd recommend the movie Paprika.
I mean, I would just suggest the movie Paprika because it's a much better Inception. Like, Inception took most of its great directive cues from Paprika.
Yeah, so, like I said, I didn't want to roast Michael B. Jordan. I just thought his take was kind of, like you said, basic.
Yeah.
And there are much better recommendations out there.
I would agree.
if you don't have anything else that you want to deep dive into, I have one other thing I want to talk about, and then we can get into the big thing.
We'll do your one other thing. We're like at 30 minutes before
Okay.
edits, so
I just wanted to talk about Marvel Midnight Suns, the game.
go forth.
So, there's a genre of game. It's very popular in like Japanese games called dating sims. And there's another genre.
Okay, so if you're not gonna watch Clanad, play Clanad. It's a Viznav where you can date people.
Okay. Called dating sims. And there's another genre of video games, more popular in the West, but also very popular in Asia, called strategy RPGs.
If you like strategy RPGs, play Clanad. It's not a strategy RPG.
Like, I think some of the bigger ones are like Fire Emblem, XCOM. Those are the biggest strategy RPGs that are hitting my brain right now.
As far as straight up strategy, like tacticsy games go, yes. But we're talking just strategy games in general. You got all the RTS games like the Warhammer 40k stuff.
So, if you like strategy games like Fire Emblem and or XCOM, and you don't have to like dating sims. If you enjoy like dating sim aspects in like games like Persona, Marvel Midnight Suns might be for you.
If you like personal relationship development that you can affect in the game.
If you like comic books and one of those two things, Marvel Midnight Suns is the game for you. The dialogue in Marvel Midnight Suns is garbage. I won't defend it. But all of the characters feel like their comic book selves.
That's good.
Like, even if the dialogue is garbage, or in the case of Deadpool's voice actor, the voice acting is garbage. Sorry, voice actor. I don't like hating people doing art or performance, but I don't like your voice for Deadpool. The characters are like nailed perfectly in line with their comic book character.
Their characterization is good.
Yeah. And it's a hell of a fun game, and it's definitely worth the price. Now, I've seen a lot of reviews, like, or individual reviews, not like gaming magazine reviews or like company reviews.
Yeah.
Where people are like, this is a full price AAA game. And they want me to pay more money for skins. And like people are complaining about it.
That's every game ever.
But like,
nowadays.
You don't have to buy the DLC skins.
Yeah, you do.
And in fact, most of the DLC skins are kind of garbage.
That's normally the case. Unless you were talking about Persona. Then they have good DLC skins.
So, the only DLC I would suggest buying is like the story DLCs. And the game itself is a ridiculous amount of hours for the money you're putting in. I bought the game on sale for like $30 plus the DLC. So $30 for the entire game, and it came with the DLC. And for $30, I am almost 50 hours into the game. And I am less than halfway through.
Gross.
It's
actually delightful.
I did do one of the DLCs already, though, but the DLC is short. It's 3 missions.
Yeah.
So it's not like a lot.
And it balances to your level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also the DLCs are gatekept by story progress. Like, you can't do certain DLCs until you get to a certain point in the story.
Oh, good.
Like, the Venom DLC just dropped, and in order to do the Venom DLC, you have to finish part 1 of the game. You can't do DLC before then.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make story sense for you to have Venom in your party before...
Yeah.
Venom is still, like, locking down Sanctum Sanctorum and preventing you from taking it. But yeah, game is very good. If you like comic books, if you like strategy games, if you like dating sims, the game is 100% built for you. The gameplay loop is insanely good. You start your day in the game, and you'll like want to do your like daily upkeep tasks, like petting your dog and like exploring the island for treasure chests that you haven't unlocked yet, so on and so forth. And then you'll do your daily training, and then you'll go to actually do your mission. And once you finish your mission, you're then going to do a hangout or a club activity. Club activities are like...
making clubs, because, sometimes, like...
Because
sometimes you just get hungry, and, like, that classic ham, turkey, bacon, cheese sounds good, but you need someone to, like, hang with as you're fixing your food,
No, right now I'm in 3 clubs in Marvel Midnight Suns. I'm in the Emo Kids Club, which is, like, that's the name of the group, but it's an acronym, but it's basically the Magic Kids.
I
magic. It's magic, it's... Strange, it's... it's all the magic, it's like all the people, like, digging around with magic. It's fun. Then there is the shop class, or shop club.
Yeah.
Which is literally just Peter Parker and Ghost Rider to start, because this is not Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. This is...
better Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I'm forgetting his name because...
Same.
Yeah. And then Tony Stark eventually joins you guys.
Obviously.
But, like, you're just working on cars and, like, making gadgets and stuff. It's fun times. And then I'm in a book club right now with Captain America, Captain Marvel, Blade, and myself. Wolverine joins you later in book club once you unlock Wolverine.
You know who I need to be in that book club?
Who's that?
I need Colossus to be in that book club.
Colossus is not in the game.
That is sad. He would be great in the book club.
I assume he's going to be in the Storm DLC.
He brings a different socioeconomic view and cultural view to book club, which is always fantastic.
Right now, all we've read in book club is books about how to murder people, and a
He
book
would have a very different view on that than most, like especially Wolverine.
and a book filleting Captain America as a leader. Steve brought that book to book club.
That tracks.
Captain Marvel brought us a Kree War manual.
Okay.
Blade brought us a book about hunting and killing vampires. No, wait. Blade's first book is The Art of War. That's the first book he brings us to read. Captain Marvel, Kree War manual, and then Steve brought us a book about Captain America because Steve.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. I love the game. And then like you could do single person hangouts where you and a single other character go and do like stargazing or
Friendship
fishing
activities
or drinking or playing cards. Yeah, I love the game. Sorry, did you have anything you wanted to talk about? We can make the longer.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, so the final topic for this episode of Inside the Cockpit is MrBeast.
What? Boy, he's that really famous YouTube guy who's always doing great charity stuff, and no one can ever say a bad thing about him.
Yeah. So first, I want to preface this by saying charity is good. Like, using your wealth, or even if you don't have wealth, to like help other people is a good thing.
It is empirically a good thing. And there's nothing that can be said about that will negate that. You can do horrible things while giving to charity. You can use charity under false pretenses. But as long as that money is actively helping someone, that is still a good thing. Is charity necessarily always done for the right reasons? No. Does something good come from it in those situations? Yes.
So the MrBeast topic like spiraled, like became an actual like controversial topic during like not his last charity video, but the one before that.
Yes.
Where he healed where he got 1,000 people laser eye surgery to fix their eyes.
Yeah.
And there were people that took umbrage with that because it's exploitation. You're taking people who have they have no honest chance of like ever seeing because
yeah, they cannot afford the surgery.
And the only way you're going to fix their eyes is if they
agreed to do this video with you.
Which it is literally poverty porn. It's exploitation of people.
Yeah.
And there's a group of people online who are like, hey, exploiting those people is wrong. Like it's nice that you've cured their blindness.
But it's still wrong that you cured their blindness only to make a video about it, exploiting that to make money. Sure, you're doing it for your charity channel. So according to everything you said, that money just goes back into your charity so you can do more things like this.
The charity he owns.
Which, generally the person that owns the charity is drawing a paycheck from it, or if they're not, they are divesting interest from the stock increases, which means they can then borrow against that, so they're not actually even losing or using their own money, but they get effectively the worth of it at no taxable cost.
So, well, it's an empirically good thing that MrBeast, Jimmy Donaldson, paid to have these people's eyesight fixed. It's a little bit fucked up that he does it under the guise of exploiting them for content.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can't make that critique online of him without hundreds of people, or if you have very little reach like our podcast, maybe a couple dozen if you're unlucky.
Yeah.
Coming at you and being like, oh, so charity's evil now? Oh, MrBeast is a bad person? I mean, that's not what anybody is saying. That's not what the topic is. The topic is exploiting people for content, regardless of what you're doing for them, is wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't think that should be a controversial take. Like, that was a thing we all learned back when TikTok took off, because that was like a very popular subgenre of TikToks where people would like give homeless people money or food.
Or like get them new clothes or a makeover, and it's just like, what the fuck, bro?
As TikTok content. And
yeah.
It very quickly became hey, you shouldn't exploit people.
One of my favorite, in quotation, things I've seen from like that era of like TikTok was like this guy could apparently play the piano, so they bought him a stand-up piano, not like a grand piano thing, but stand-up, compact piano. But that he was still homeless. He had a stand-up piano that it's a bitch to fucking move. It's not even like they got him a fucking synthesizer or anything. Sure, your logic, I guess, is maybe he can busk for money, but in a lot of big cities, if you don't have a permit to busk, you're going to get stopped. You're going to get that money taken from you because you've gained it illegally, and you're going to be charged for it. And that's all the issues that he would assumably still have before you did anything. But hey, I've done something good, so give me views. Like, what the fuck?
And like, it's not even a fair argument to say that I've seen the argument that, well, the scale at which MrBeast is doing this makes the exploitation okay. That's a fucked up argument to begin with, because that's just saying if you do a bad thing at a large enough scale, it's good again.
That's why slavery was okay for so long. It like the exploitation was horrible, but it was so many people that it was okay.
But you're giving all these people houses.
Yeah.
And because you're giving them all houses.
And food.
Yeah.
No. It's fucked up.
But that's not even a good defense for like MrBeast, because his content literally started with him exploiting homeless people for $20.
Yeah.
Like, that's where he started with this philanthropy. And like,
he had the same idea as the guy in like the late 90s, early 2000s who thought of the hobo fights videotapes you could buy.
Bum fights, yeah.
Yeah. Sure, they got money. They also got hurt. But did they agree to do it because they would get money and food? Yes, because people need money and food.
And I have some deeper issues I want to discuss, but going to his next charity video, the one that recently came out, he bought like 20,000 kids in Africa shoes.
Yeah.
And like, there's a way you can definitely do that wrong. As
Tom Shoes did.
As Tom Shoes taught us, you can do that very, very wrong. And MrBeast did not do it wrong.
No. He bought shoes from local individuals to support that local economy. He got shoes from there. I'm not entirely sure if they were ethically sourced, because I don't know exactly who he partnered with, but like that money still went into fuel that economy and helped get children that needed shoes.
But the issue that people are still talking about in regards to the video is the video still exists as an exploitation of these children who didn't have shoes. You're exploiting their lack of a basic necessity in order to make viral internet content.
Yes.
On the topic, I think this is actually a very relevant quote. It's from a former president of the country of Burkina. He served as president from 1983 to 1987. His name is Thomas Sankara. And he has this pretty famous quote, him talking about food aid for his country.
Yes.
Those who come with wheat, millet, corn, or milk, they are not helping us. Those who come who really want to help us can give us plows, tractors, fertilizer, insecticide, watering cans, drills, and dams.
Yeah.
This is how we would define food aid in Burkina.
Yeah.
Because giving these children shoes, cool, that's fine. You're 100% helping these 20,000 kids.
Yes.
But you're not addressing the root problems.
No.
Bringing Burkina gallons of milk fixes the problem for a couple weeks.
Yep.
But it doesn't address the problem in the long term. It's the teach a man to fish issue.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would be less of an issue if MrBeast spent any time in his videos talking about the roots of these causes.
But he doesn't.
And what you as a viewer of his videos could do to help these causes.
But if he told you how you could do it, you're no longer focusing on MrBeast. You're focusing on what you can do. And also, if you're doing stuff, you have less time to watch MrBeast.
Yeah. And so, like, I want to be clear, I had no negative feelings towards MrBeast at all until last week. And it had, I thought the, eye care thing, people getting mad about that. Yes, it's exploitation, but, you're overblowing it. What he's doing is mostly helpful.
Yeah, I was like, man, there are definitely issues with that. There are definitely better ways he could be helping with the amount of money he's used. There are a lot of charities that work with a lot of medical professionals because, fun fact, a lot of medical professionals, especially if they're working at private hospitals, have to meet a certain amount of pro bono hours. You have some doctors and such that actually, and some charities that have doctors who literally just work pro bono at the cost of the patient. They generally have they get aided from the charity or whatever. That's how they get their
So
pay.
what you're saying is, instead of paying full price for all these eye surgeries,
he could have donated the money to charities that get these surgeries at a lot lower cost and helped a lot more people than what he did in his video.
But how could he have made content out of that?
He wouldn't have been able to, because he wouldn't have known where the money went.
See, that's the thing.
And they would have been, guess what? Their medical records and their private medical history and procedures would have been protected, so he wouldn't have been able to figure out who that money went to and record them.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, too. You have these people on camera who are yeah, we're totally cool with what we're doing, what MrBeast is doing to help us and us being on camera. But
there's a giant power difference there.
There's a person who commented on one of these Twitter threads.
Yeah.
And he talked about, it was a 6-post tweet. Mm-hmm. He was talking about how he was homeless in the early 2000s and he didn't have food, he didn't have a stable source of food. But these churches would come and they would give them shelter for the evening, give them food and stuff.
But they will proselytize at you the entire time.
It wasn't even that they'd proselytize. They wanted pictures of their their church and their community members.
Yeah.
Helping these poor people.
And if you didn't agree to it...
He said, I never saw somebody get turned down as far as housing or food, but it felt very much like if I didn't listen to their preaching and I didn't take these pictures with them, that next time, or even this time, they would refuse to give me aid.
Or they wouldn't come back to this area.
And what am I supposed to do as a person who does not have a home, who does not have food, but to subject myself and debase myself in order to secure these things?
Yeah. There's that huge problem, that disparity there. And
it's even bigger with MrBeast because if you appear in a MrBeast video and you were no, I wasn't actually comfortable with this thing, not only is your face now out there for all of MrBeast's fans, are you sure he's even going to pay for the surgery at that point?
Yeah, exactly. He's already holding the power of what his money can do over you, but also the millions of people that follow him, you have to worry about them as well, especially if you come out even afterwards and be like, hey, I wasn't really comfortable with this, but yes, I did do this because I desperately needed this surgery, whether it be to help support my family or even just to increase my own betterment of life, to like live a better life, a more comfortable life.
And like, so like, that's like I said, that video in of itself wasn't the thing that like made me become negatively aware of MrBeast.
Yeah.
The thing that made me like view MrBeast in a negative light was a tweet he sent out last week or the week before, where it was a picture of Beast Feastables, yeah, his chocolate bars at a Walmart, and the feature was messed up.
Yeah.
And then there was another picture of it straightened up, and he's like, "Hey, I'm looking to get a team together that I'll pay to do this."
Yeah.
But until then,
I've got issues with this too.
Could you go out and anytime you see these, straighten them up? And like, I don't even care if you knock Hershey's on the floor out of the way. Mm-hmm. He later deleted that subtweet.
Oh, because there's an important thing that I'll mention because I don't. I feel like I'm the one that mentioned that to you originally.
But he even said, I don't care if you knock out like other candy bars out of the way.
In fact, jokingly encouraged it. Jokingly is obviously unsubstantiated, but it's assumed. But
he's asking for literal free labor, and his Twitter account is mostly followed by adults, mostly.
Yeah, roughly like 40% of it, though, is followed by people the age of 20 or lower, according to self-reporting polls, which were poorly formatted. So you also have people that would be at the age of 20 who did not respond to that because there was overlap in the times, in the age ranges.
That's his Twitter followers?
Yep.
He has a majority children audience once you start looking at YouTube.
Yes.
And he's asking literal children for free labor. And people are like, oh, it's not labor. It's only a couple minutes to straighten up a shelf. But he's literally in the same tweet saying, hey, I'm going to pay people to do this.
Yeah, I am recognizing that it's a job. There are people that are literally already paid to do that. It is a job.
And like me, I'm fucking poor.
Yeah.
It would be, I have less than $1,000 available at any given moment right now. If something fucks up and goes wrong, I'm screwed. But MrBeast, who has a net worth of over $100 million, asking for free shit, for free labor, is so fucked up. I refuse any type of like free or discounted labor when it comes to something like that I'm interested in or want.
Yeah.
Like when we bought the co-pilot's art,
yes,
Jess charged us a ridiculously like low amount for that commission. Like honestly, because we weren't just buying it for use for like personal use. We bought it on the understanding that it would be used in a professional sense. Like, yeah, she designed a logo for what is ostensibly a company. We have not filed for
any LLC memberships or understandings.
But she designed that as a logo for a company.
Yes.
We tipped her an additional like 30 or 40% of what she asked for because you shouldn't ask for free shit when you're trying to make money on something. This podcast isn't like an endeavor where we're actively trying to make money, but like
we recognize that is technically a possibility, and there is no area in which we want to feel like we've deprived someone else of value that they've actively provided or given when they are entitled to appropriate remuneration for the effort and time they put into something.
And so even if it's just 4 or 5 minutes straightening up a shelf, you owe that person for facing your product so that it sells better. Yeah. That's what the purpose of facing is. It's to increase sales.
Which, on that note, so a lot of companies, when you're working with them, really, there are rules they have about the providers affecting store layout. Mm-hmm. That technically includes facing.
Yeah.
Because that is store layout. It's why, like, if you've ever noticed that if you've gone to, like, your local Walmart, you'll see, like, a guy with, like, a Coke shirt or maybe a Pepsi shirt doing these product displays. It's because the agreement that they have with Walmart is, hey, we will do this because we believe it helps us sell our product, which actually it's proven it does. Like the big, look at this NFL logo we made out of Pepsi cans or whatever.
Yeah.
It sells better. And also by doing that, a lot of the time, they're paying more to be allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. And they're paying more for like, hey, this is like right in the fucking doors. We are basically paying for this spot here.
Well, yeah, honestly, and this is getting deep in the weeds, pretty much all shelf placement in a store is bought and purchased.
Yes.
Like, if you want your stuff at eye level...
Mm-hmm. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, you have to pay to get your stuff at eye level.
So, obviously, like you mentioned, he was like, yeah, it's fine, throw Hershey's and stuff on the floor. Which would be an active involvement of a company against store layout and destruction of another rival company's goods, which, you know...
But it's not because he's not paying them. Like...
Mm-hmm. Nobody is encouraging it, which could still be problems. That's why it was deleted, definitely. Mm-hmm. But what he's encouraging is for people to go out and, sure, with good intent, ignore the facing and layout instructions that this store has, which one, can actually get people in trouble.
Yes.
Because, like, if you don't know what you're doing facing the shelf, it's not hard, right? But, like, especially if you're at, like, a really strict store, there are things that tell you how many things go on a shelf, how many things are supposed to be facing, and all of that for when you're zoning an area. So when you're organizing it. Like, there's only so many certain, like, cans of something that are supposed to be in the front, and then the rest go behind. Sure, there might be room to the right, but that's not for that product. That is for a different product. You cannot just move it over.
Mm-hmm.
You have people that will legitimately get in trouble, maybe get caps or points against them wherever they work.
Caps being corrective action points, a system that
So you could literally be getting people in trouble at work because you've messed up a display, especially if you've gone in. Like, it's less likely to happen probably during the middle of the day when things get busy because they don't normally do that often. But, like, if you're going in later and they've zoned it and maybe it's gotten a bit messed up, but you adjust it past something and then, like, their supervisor walks through and now you have changed it to not meet the standards that shelf is supposed to be at, you could legitimately be getting someone in trouble at their job because you've messed with something and fucked it up.
Yeah, like, even beyond him asking for free labor, which was, like, the initial thing that made me go, MrBeast probably isn't, like, the greatest guy like people are saying, because the point at which millionaires and billionaires start asking for free labor is a point of no return in my mind. Like, that's some fucked up shit. And I was like, well, I've never had any reason to think of him as a bad person, but this is pretty fucked up.
Yep.
And then I started, like, looking into stuff and, like, looking into Feastables and looking into Beast Burger and stuff.
Rainforest Alliance.
And Feastables are, like, positioning themselves as an alternative to Hershey's.
Yes.
But they source their chocolate from the same group as Hershey, Rainforest Alliance. And Hershey is currently in trouble for using child labor in
regards to the Rainforest Alliance.
Rainforest Alliance, and there's a lawsuit going on. And Feastables started after that lawsuit was made public.
After the issues with Rainforest Alliance were made public.
Which means when Jimmy was choosing a source for his chocolate, it was publicly available information that the RFA uses child labor, and he still chose to go with the RFA.
Yes.
So that's fucked up. And, like, the obvious, like, loud retort here is, well, how is he going to keep the chocolate cheap enough for people to buy if he doesn't use the cheap chocolate available in the market? And the answer is, you don't.
Yeah.
If child labor is the only way to make your product viable for people to buy, don't make that product.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Or
honestly, he just wanted to do a Willy Wonka shit.
Yes.
And so that's what he did. Like, fuck the child labor that you're exploiting.
Reduce the size of your candy, sell it at a higher markup. Fun fact, there are a lot of chocolate brands that exist and make money, even though they're not directly competing at Hershey's price point, because they make either better chocolate, which, I mean, let's face it, most do. There's the chemicals used to help preserve Hershey, give it its distinctive flavor, but it's also what allows and makes a lot of other people who aren't American, basically, to think that Hershey's chocolate tastes like it's kind of soured, because it technically kind of has a bit because of the chemical process.
So, yeah, we have Feastables, which is obviously shady in that it's partnered with a company that uses child labor.
Yeah.
But, like, on top of that, I don't know what Feastables pays its people to package bars. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know anything about that.
No idea.
And I haven't looked into that. But what I can tell you is that Beast Burger, which is a ghost kitchen that works out of actual other restaurants,
which, talk to, like, any server or restaurant worker who actually cares about working in that industry, not like, hey, I'm a fast food worker, or I might work at a mom and pop shop and I don't actually care, this is just a job. But if you talk to any actual professional individual in that industry, fun fact, most of them hate ghost kitchens.
Because it harms...
Like, they are basically mercenaries in the restaurant industry, which that's an entire different gig that exists. But more often than not, if you are a restaurant mercenary or a knife for hire, completely different. There's most of the time are someone that's like, hey, we've had people call in. We are a very busy restaurant. We'll call up a single guy, have him in for the night. We'll pay a bit more for it. But when you're talking about staffing an entire kitchen like that, it's a much bigger issue.
Yeah.
And they're restaurant scabs.
The important thing is, Beast Burger as a company, in the locations that it exists, pays its workers near poverty or poverty wages, which means the money that MrBeast is earning and, like, the way he's inflating his wealth is through the active exploitation of labor, the active exploitation of child labor, and the active exploitation of the poor and disabled.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, but Jimmy Donaldson is not a good person if this is how he's building his wealth.
There are two anecdotes that I think both work well, and they're both in the public information. Mm-hmm. One's an older YouTube video, and another is an instance with the Children's Miracle Network.
Yeah, well, the YouTube video, that's not completely in the public eye. There's an interview that he talks about it, because he cut a lot of the stuff out of the YouTube video.
Yeah.
But he has, like, there was a moment early on in his YouTube philanthropy act, like, carrying, where he was, through sponsors, given a couple $1,000s. I think it was, like, almost $10,000. And he gave it to his mother as a YouTube video.
Yeah.
But he didn't tell her.
She was part of a YouTube video.
And he didn't tell her, like, that where the money came from initially or anything. So he went to give her the money, and she's like, I can't take this money from you. You're my son. I can't be taking...
I'm not going to take $10,000. I'm not going to take this much money from you. Like, I appreciate the thought, but, like, I'm not comfortable doing that. Like, I care about you. Use this money on you.
And he's like, I can't use this money on me. It's from sponsors, and if I don't give it away...
I won't make any more.
I won't make any more money. The pipeline will dry up. And so her response was, so you're using me for YouTube content? And he said, yes, exactly. And she goes, I'm not comfortable with that. He goes, it's a win-win, though. Like, the fact that you could look at your parent or a loved one and be like, I don't care if you're uncomfortable with this.
It makes me money.
It makes me money, and technically you're better off for it, so I don't care if you're uncomfortable with it. That's fucked up, too.
Yeah. And even more fucked up, in my opinion, is he didn't even take the time to, like, discuss this before making the YouTube video with his mother.
Yeah.
To just be like, hey, this is a thing. Like, maybe you may not feel comfortable about it.
Well, it's 100% because he wanted her real reaction on camera.
And her real reaction just wasn't something he liked.
Yeah. And you wanted to talk about the other anecdote, which is all over the internet if you want to go look for it?
Yeah. So, the Children's Miracle Network, you've probably heard of.
Actually, I want to lead in with this one. So, Justice and I, one of our best friends was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 17.
Yeah.
So this, like, or he was 16? He was 16 at the time. This hits for us because, like, he missed out on, like, Make-A-Wish thing by, like, 6 months or something.
Yeah.
And he ended up, like, with another charity. But, like, yeah, so if you want to go ahead.
So, it may have been with the Children's Miracle Network, or maybe it was with Make-A-Wish Foundation. I don't remember which.
Yeah, it was Make-A-Wish, but I think it was through Children's Miracle.
Which, both of those organizations have issues. You can look those up. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about that. We're talking about MrBeast.
But in general, both those organizations are also doing good.
Yeah, they do fair work. They do good things. Like we've mentioned, Jimmy does good things.
Again, no matter how much we criticize Jimmy... I would always rather a millionaire
some charity occur than none,
or a billionaire spend their money making the world better, even if they're also pocketing off that.
Yeah,
I would rather they donate to charity and use their money for philanthropy than not do that.
Yeah,
like
we're just acknowledging that there are obviously problems here and that things could be better. Mm-hmm. But there is a child whose wish was to meet MrBeast because they were a really big fan. And, you know, it's a very common occurrence. Hey, I really like this person. I would really like to meet them. Simple Make-A-Wish. And
it's not even like it's weird that a child would look up to MrBeast because that's what he's built his entire, like...
Yes.
Like I said, his YouTube analytics would show you that over half of his audience are children.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that
So
weird.
When approached, MrBeast apparently was on board initially on the condition that if he did it, he could make a YouTube video of it. Which, so fun fact, no, you can't do that. Literally, the person you're talking to is a representative for Make-A-Wish. They legally cannot give you that permission. Mm-hmm. You have to get the permission from the children's parents. Mm-hmm. And also, they are not there to exploit the sick children. They are there to give them something that means a lot to them because they are in a dire situation and we are trying to make a positive impact on their life, a life that unfortunately may not last much longer.
I mean, I think, like, this is my own, like, thought process here, but there is documented evidence that being happy increases the likelihood of recovery from terminal illness.
Yes, there are studies that show, hey, instead of putting you in a nursing home or putting you on all these life supports, as long as whatever you're sick with isn't going to immediately kill you if you're taken off a machine, a lot of people live not a lot longer, but a bit longer in hospice, in like a good hospice care or home care than they do in a hospital or a nursing home when they're like that. And that's the thing that we see multiple times. Obviously, the medical corporation doesn't like it because you spend like a third of medical costs that you're ever going to spend in your lifetime. Like I think it's literally like a third of all your medical costs in like the last 10, 15 years of your life.
Yep.
That's the majority of where your medical costs are going to come. Fun fact, you can deal with that in the future. Let that sit in the back of your mind and make you feel bad. That'll be most of your medical costs in your life. So, of course, you know, you're going to be pushed to sit and stay in a hospital or a nursing home where they can drain you of money and you'll be unhappy. Anyways, though, yeah, so...
Digression aside.
He was like, I'll do it if I can make a video. Well, he was told he could make a video. So instead of them being like, well, all right, I really want to make a video, but I'll do it anyways, he just didn't do it. He just chose not to meet this kid to where, you know, then in that situation, if it was still really so important to him, he could have talked to the parents or like something. But no, he didn't take any time out to meet this kid because he was not guaranteed to make a YouTube video on it. He wasn't going to make money on it, so why would he do it?
Yeah, it's a little fucked up.
More than a little.
Oh, yeah, I say a little, but like I was downplaying it severely because, again, the man has so much value between his companies and his actual personal wealth that it's not wrong to feasibly say he can never make another dollar in his life and never spend all the money he has unless he was just like bought houses and jets and shit for fun.
Yeah.
Which he has.
So on a topic I've mentioned like 2 or 3 times here, because I think we basically covered up our problems with MrBeast.
Yeah, he exploits people and then uses charity porn to whitewash that exploitation.
Yeah. But I've mentioned several times that there are better ways he could do this.
Mm-hmm.
So like we mentioned, there are charities that partner with medical professionals and such to provide better healthcare at lower costs.
And again, one of the best things he could do without changing his formula at all is to just spend 5 minutes at the beginning of a YouTube video discussing the base causes of these things and how you as an individual can contribute to bettering the world.
Or even like this curing blindness thing. He could have taken that money, donated it, and contacted a single person who was having the surgery and be like, hey, or, put up a thing like, hey, if you're getting this procedure, could I do a video to talk about this, to inform people, and I will I will be paying for your surgery, and I'm also donating so much money to help pay for other people. That way, one, you're bringing awareness to something. You can still throw in your fucking video that you helped cure 1,000 fucking people of blindness, but you only have one person to react to. But that also allows you to have a more human conversation with someone and talk about the fucking topic, but that's not what he's there for.
There is a very viral tweet from a couple years ago, and it says all these heartwarming news stories are always like, man donates $20,000 to prevent 200 orphans from being crushed by the orphan machine. And that's the news story. But nobody ever stops to ask, why is there an orphan crushing machine to begin with?
And why do we have to pay to stop it from being used?
And
that is just what MrBeast lives by.
Yeah, he is that heartwarming news story every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like, oh, he cured these people of blindness. Oh, he gave 20,000. The headline looks amazing.
And that's all he cares about, though, because the headline is the YouTube video.
Yeah.
But so he could do something like that. Or all these times he gives people money, so I might be wrong here. I'm a bit fuzzy on the details, because technically gifts aren't taxable, but from what I've seen,
up to a certain amount,
and generally the wording is from friend or family. I think it's pretty obvious if you're getting a random gift from MrBeast, you're not a friend.
Fair enough.
So the legal thing there is a bit odd to me. I don't know how that would work.
Mm-hmm.
But most people that are going to hit with this are probably also going to be hit with what's called a windfall tax, which generally applies to companies but can apply to private individuals, which is, hey, you came into a lot of money. Well, the government needs a cut of that. Do you know what doesn't really give you windfall taxes? Charities that give you money because it's a charity, so the government doesn't tax it. They recognize that, hey, this is a public good.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways, which obviously there's a bunch of charities you can give to, a lot of people give to charities that are important to them or about topics that they find important.
Yeah, for 6-7 years, I was a regular donor to Write Love on Her Arms, a charity that helps with people who self-harm.
Yeah, but legitimately one of the best ways to help provide charity are give directly charities, which is exactly as simple as it sounds. You give money directly to a charity. Do you know what that charity does? They then give that money directly to people that need it. Or
not necessarily as money, but they give...
Nope. As money.
Okay.
Because the best way to help someone is to let them make their own fucking decisions and pay for what they need to have. Because sure, you might be like, hey, you need new shoes. But you know what they might need instead of new shoes? They might have a fucking leak in their roof that they need to fix.
But what if they buy whiskey or beer with it?
Then they've bought something to make themselves slightly happier and help cope with fucking life for a while.
God, that's my least favorite argument. People are like, you can't give poor people money because they'll use it on alcohol or drugs.
They can't be trusted. Why do you think they're poor in the first place? Oh, I can give you a bunch of fucking reasons why people are poor in the first place. And a lot of them aren't because of them.
And also, when poor people are spending money on drugs or alcohol, it's because their life has literally reached such a point of negativity and, it's reached such a level of awfulness that being drunk or high is literally the only time they feel like being alive.
Also, there's a bunch of studies that show that doesn't really happen. I cannot remember the name of the charity, but there is this actual fantastic charity that does just give directly, and they've done years-long studies of what happens with that money. They would give to charity, they would get their money, and they would give the money to people in Africa and stuff. And they would track what they did with that money. Or they'd ask them, and you know what, a lot of the times it wasn't something like, hey, we went and bought food. It might have been that. Or it was like, yeah, no, I personally did need medical assistance. But you know what? I didn't do that. I did. I bought a new tin roof for my house.
Is Give Directly the one you're talking about?
It literally might just be called Give Directly. And they might just be like, yeah, no, I had a good roof. I had a thatch roof. But I bought a brand new tin roof for my house. It took all the money you gave me. But thatch roofs leak. I have kids. I don't want my kids getting wet. I don't want my kids getting sick. So I bought a tin roof. I ignored my medical needs that this other charity was going to pay for because I wanted to do this thing that was more important to me in the long run.
Mm-hmm. And it's...
We, for some reason, don't think poor people know what they need. We don't think people know what they themselves need. And it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. If I was to walk up to you and be like, hey, give me your money. You're not spending it correctly. Don't worry. I'm still going to make sure you get food and your bills are paid, but I'm going to control all your money. You'd look at me like I was a fucking crazy person. You'd be like, no, it's my fucking money.
I mean...
It's bullshit.
Yeah, 100%.
But, so there's that. And then there's another thing in the realm of the medical field that he did. Which, yeah, he paid directly for these surgeries. But there are other things where, because we live in a fucking dystopia, you can buy people's debt. You can buy their medical debt, you can buy their home debt, you can buy their student... I don't know if you can buy student debt. That might be one of the ones you can't buy. But you can buy debt. And private hospitals and corporations will sell off these debts. Well, there's organizations that buy debt. There's a medical charity that I don't remember the name of. They buy debt from hospitals. So they get this giant portfolio filled with all kinds of different people who owe money. And then you know what they do? They don't leverage that to get that money back from people. They just toss it away. They just throw it the fuck away. So these people just get notifications that, hey, you no longer owe this debt.
Are you talking about RIP medical debt?
So yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact statistics. I think it's for like every $1 that someone donates to them, because they're basically buying this debt in bulk. They effectively get rid of, I think $1 is like $100 worth of debt, maybe $1,000. That I might have the wrong zero, but like they get rid of a lot more debt proportionally than you're even donating to help them get rid of. And it's ridiculous and it's great. And Jimmy could do something like that.
They average $100 in debt on the cost of $1.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous. Like he could do something like that. But that doesn't get clicks. That doesn't make a YouTube video. It's not like he can just, I mean, he could, but it's not like he's just going to upload a video where he's sat at his computer and be like, hey guys, look at this website. I just donated $10,000 and eliminated math. $1 million? 100,000?
It'd be $1 million.
And I just helped eliminate $1 million worth of medical debt. He's not doing that because that's like a 5-minute long video.
RIP medical debt has cleared $6.3 billion in medical debt since they started.
Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. And it's fantastic. And, like, honestly, look at charities that give directly or do things like that.
And, like, there's another type of charity that's not giving cash directly, but they give chickens, cows, they give, like, animals and tools.
Yes, Heifer International.
Heifer International is a good example of these charities that they take money and then buy things in bulk.
Yes.
And then disseminate that to people that need those things.
Though I have a fun thing about that actually comes from studies from Give Directly, where this village got animals, like everyone got some animals. Fun fact.
They just sold the animals for money?
Yes. Better fact, though, they were buying goats from this guy. Mm-hmm. They would buy a goat and they would give a goat to someone. They were selling literally the exact same fucking goat. Because someone would walk back around and sell it back to the guy who bought it, who sold that goat. He would buy the goat back from them. They would get money that they could use for whatever they needed. They were literally, I don't think it was Heifer International. It was some other thing that does something like that. But that charity literally just bought the same fucking goat for a village because they just kept selling it back because they didn't need the goat. They needed money.
They were indirectly a direct giving charity.
I mean, I assume the guy who was selling the goat was probably making a profit of it, so they were losing money.
Fair enough. But yeah, I think we've probably hit our runtime for this.
Yeah, we hit a topic I have passions about and things I can talk about. I could do this for a long time. We don't need to do that. I think we're good.
Yeah, so we'll have some charities in our episode description this month. Just do your own research on charities. There's so many out there. RIP Medical Debt is one of the most highly rated debt clearing charities out there.
And if for some reason you weigh what good you do on charity based off the monetary value you get, probably one of the best things where your dollar goes the fucking farthest.
And
literally, your dollar turns into 100. Congratulations. You've made money your magic.
Like, if you want to give money directly to charities that matter to you, do research, because
some of these charities
I mentioned
spend way too much money paying their CEOs a budget, and they're still a nonprofit because, hey, we have to pay our employees, but we are going to massively inflate these.
I mentioned my giving to Tulaha, a charity that I was very deeply passionate about in my late teens, early 20s, because of all the people in my life who committed self-harm. But I don't normally talk about the charities I donate to because I'm not a religious person. I'm a Satanist, but not not a Levian Satanist, a temple.
Look up Temple of Satanism.
Yeah, and like they also do charitable work, and I donate through them. But like Judaism, Christianity, even Islam, all have like passages about how charity isn't something that you need to brag about. It's not something you should.
As far as my understanding goes with some Islamic ideas for charity, particularly I think it's Sunni, like religious tenets or things that they do. There's a thing called zakat.
Okay.
I'm probably fucking saying that wrong. I do not speak Arabic, which I think zakat's an Arabic term. But the idea is that I think it's based off of a percentage of like your annual income, basically, like that you give to local Muslim families in need or local Muslim organizations in need. Apparently a lot of people give to their local church. Sure. But like the idea is that you are helping these people that desperately need it or need it more than you at least. And it's a huge part, in my understanding at least, of their religious tenets in that branch of Islam at least.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, I'm not a Bible thumper. I was born and raised Christian, but again, I'm not Christian now. But the Christian Bible has a wonderful quote on charity, and it's, "So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret." And it's because even the people, in this case, this is Matthew 6, passages 1 through 4, even the people in the time of the Bible was written, were aware that using other people, exploiting other people to make yourself look better, was not a thing that that a right person should do.
Which I don't think I mentioned it about zakat. Like, according to what I understand about zakat, it is an anonymous donation. There's no knowing of who it is. It is supposed to be anonymous.
And I think, like, again, not a big religious person, but I think that's one of the things that most major religions all harp on pretty well, because the idea of exploiting people who are going through hardship to make yourself look better, to make yourself be more respected, and to make yourself
antithetical to being a good person.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think we've covered that. One last thing I want to say is, like we were saying, do research on your own charities that you care about and stuff. But also an important note that I think everyone should know: do not, oh, look, I have change left over. Sure, I'll donate it to this thing that Walmart or CVS or Wendy's wants me to do. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just save your change yourself and donate. One, you can write it off on your taxes if it's large enough. Congratulations. But also what you're doing is, that money does get donated. They don't lie about that. They literally can't. That is illegal. But what it is it allows them to take all of that money collected and make it a giant write-off for themselves. They get to be the ones that make the donation. They get the write-off. They get the benefits. Don't do it. Just donate it yourself. And hey, maybe you don't actually want to donate to the thing they are, but you're like, why not? I'm helping something. Instead, just hold on to that tiny bit of change you don't want and use it yourself to help a charity or something else. One, I guarantee you'll actually feel better about yourself because you will feel that you're making that change. It's not going to be like this little niggling thing like, oh, cool, I did that, whatever. It's not going to be something you pass over. It's going to be like, you're aware you're actively helping or making a change, which is always a great feeling. But also, one, you get to decide where it goes better, and also, you're not helping corporations.
I will say, if you know that you yourself are never going to take the time to do the research or to give to charity like on your own, sure, let Walmart write it off as a tax write-off. It's still better than not giving.
But, I mean, if that's the thing you take pride in, you're like, oh, I always do this, I care about charities, then take some time to look at charities yourself and actively just do that. Like, do it for the charity yourself.
Yeah. Make the world a better place, and don't
exploit people. Just don't exploit people. Don't exploit people in any form or fashion. It's horrible.
It's wild that we started off with, hey, what are your top 5 anime recommendations for new anime viewers?
No, it's not wild. They're artists. They've been exploited.
Fair enough.
It all tracks.
And we're ending with don't exploit people.
Yeah.
Don't exploit people. Like, it's not hard. Don't do it. But hey, if you, like I said, we're going to have charity links in the summary. But if you want to contact us and get in contact with us directly, tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why MrBeast is
the best person ever and why he's never done anything wrong. Or why there's nothing wrong with his model for giving. Or
if you want to go the entire other route and I've seen this theory and you want to explain to me why MrBeast is actually the Antichrist, I'm down to hear those theories too. Whatever you want to talk about, feel free to hit us up. There's numerous ways to do that, including our Twitter at CopilotsReview,
our email at copilotsreview@gmail.com,
our Hive at CopilotsReview,
or you can find a link to all of those except for our Hive on our Discord, which you can find on our website, copilotsreview.simplecast.com.
Yeah, and we just want to thank you for flying with us, and please, I guess that's the wrong outro.
Yeah, we didn't fly anywhere, we just sat in a cockpit. But hopefully you'll catch us on our next flight.
I'm sorry, I've been drinking.
And until then, just be a good person.